Hello, and welcome to another horrific review. I'm joined once again by Chris as we continue our journey down the Graboid Trail with Tremors 4. Released in 2004, this movie tells the story how the town of Perfection, Nevada, became founded and how they defended against the Graboids, with the help of Burt Gummer's ancestor, Hiram. This film was made on a budget of $5 million and was released straight to DVD, so that means we don't know how well it did, but this was fun.
It was a lot more fun than I expected. When I saw the premise, I was like,
I'm like,
a
oh no,
prequel?
prequel.
Do we really need to, know how the Graboids, came to be? And I thought the legend, when it, referred to the Graboids, but it really refers to the legend of Burt Gummer, which
Yeah, and
was fun.
with that being said, I thought it was going to be Burt Gummer Western gunslinger,
Yeah, something cheesy like that.
and I thought, oh god, no, no, don't. We've been having so much fun up tonight. Don't ruin it. We've been having a blast. Don't completely blow it out of the water because I've just
Yeah.
suffered through the Exorcist series.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I've one more to do on Sunday, and then I'm going to put that to bed and never watch it.
They're getting progressively worse, right?
Oh god! And this next one is a remake of a prequel. So I reviewed the prequel, and I just wanted to die.
Yeah.
In fact, even reviewing it was hurting myself talking about it. And that was released in 2004, and now the one I'm going to be doing on Sunday was released in 2005. That's a remake of a 2004 movie.
Oh my god!
And even just hearing that, I'm going, "This is going to be shit. This is
Yeah,
going to be so shit."
yeah.
And that's the problem with remakes and prequels, and that you just have that in your head because history's told us that's the way these are like. And yeah, I was worried. I
Yeah,
was genuinely worried going into this one,
I
but
was pleasantly surprised. I think I might like this one second to the original. I liked it more than 2 and 3.
um, you could be honest. I'm quite fond of 3.
Yeah, 3
The
had
start
its
of 2 made me kind of go, because it was trying to, as we talked about the bits where it was trying too hard. 3
yeah.
was quite pleasant. But yeah, this is a good one. It was a good story. It still maintained all the good beats, but still managed to look fresh, and
I think 2
it
and
looked good.
I've liked all 4, so nothing negative against 2
Oh
and
yeah,
3. But
no, it's just different levels now, isn't it?
yeah, like 2 and 3 had characters that annoyed me in each of them. This one had no characters like that, and the special effects were better, so that didn't, the CGI didn't detract. And I know we'll get into that more.
Mm-hmm.
So this had
It was still
no,
there. It's like a wee bit of grain of
yeah,
sand in the eye. You're like,
just a reminder.
just a reminder it still exists. You're like, oh,
So it's like they learned from their mistakes, and they corrected those little things. So yeah, I really
but
like
this
this.
was made
Fun.
$1 million.
That's crazy.
Look at the movies now made for $200 million plus.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing. They were going to do a live action Masters Universe thing, and they were saying the minimum they needed for it was 200 million
Minimum. Yeah.
minimum, and now they're banding about it might go to Netflix, might go to Amazon, blah blah blah, and you're like, where do you pluck these figures out of? How much of this is
Yeah.
going through the washing machine, getting cleaned?
Yeah. Well, He-Man needs
disappearing into.
He-Man needs that great disguise of the T-shirt, so that could be expensive.
Yeah, he doesn't even wear a pair of glasses.
He doesn't even wear glasses. He puts
But
the T-shirt on.
what do you need for Master? What do you need for He-Man? You need a desert.
Yeah.
And it needs to look purple. You
That's
need
it.
Castle Grayskull.
Yeah.
And you need Andor no, is it Andor? What's the city in Eternia?
Oh gosh. This is
Andoria, right? The palace. Anyway, you need the palace.
Yeah.
And possibly Snake Mountain. That would be the more expensive one. But you could get away without Snake Mountain and keep that as a reveal for maybe part 2.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it.
Yeah. And a $5 million budget in 2004 compared to 19.
So that's about 20 million, 25 million. So
yeah. But I mean, it's more relevant than like a $9 million budget for the original. I think the original was around 9, something like that. So it looks great.
The original I can see where the budget came in with the original because it used a lot of landscape. There's a lot of there's a lot of outdoor scenes, a lot of set pieces.
Right.
This was more contained.
Yeah, but they had enough scenes where they were traveling that I felt it wasn't.
It did feel more contained because there's more sweeping landscapes in the first one, and
Yeah,
really did move about the place, and there was vehicles and road and.
Yeah, that's fair.
For this,
yeah, because it was set back 100 years. It was easier to get away with fewer items in the scenes because they didn't have much back then. So that's true. But there was a rationale for the
you didn't feel cheated. Generally,
Yeah.
always with a prequel, you feel kind of you're getting strung along.
Yeah.
I didn't feel it with us.
No, it was a fun story. The music, everything was. I enjoyed it. It went quick.
I'm just thinking now, Back to the Future Part 3.
Oh my gosh, I literally have that in my notes.
That was the kind of vibe. I was on the tip of my tongue. The vibe I was getting from it. It's got Back to the Future Part 3 vibe to it.
I wrote that down.
Did you? Yeah, because you're transported to the different place. It all looks authentic, but it's the same franchise.
And it's the same town. You're seeing the same town 100 years earlier. So this movie was set in 1889. Back to the Future 3 was 1885. So it's very similar. And you're seeing what that current town looks like, in its infancy. So I really enjoyed that. And I love Back to the Future. So it was a nice, vibe for me.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking. That I know it wasn't prequel, but it went back in time, so it makes sense. And you still got the feeling. You got the feeling of perfection.
Yeah,
like it didn't look that out of it.
No,
you saw that the foundations of the town to be, which was cool because that's good when you can transport yourself to a place.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. I thought this was, like I said, I thought it was the best looking one. I know the practical effects were done by a different company. I looked it up, KNB EFX, who had experience because they already worked on Tremors the series, which I know we haven't discussed yet, but they had 13 episodes that ran from March 28, 2003 to August 8, 2003. So there was only 13 episodes, but at least this special effects company had experience working on the Graboids and the different elements from that 13 episode arc. And it really shows. It was very polished. I watched a behind the scenes video of the making of this movie, and there was like a lot of craft and thought that went into the designs. A lot of it was practical, very little CGI, and it looked good compared to some of the other movies in the series. I thought it looked great. I thought it was the best looking one of all four.
Definitely got that. It really did get that authentic feel. One thing that really annoys me, that box set I bought looks amazing, fantastic, but there's no special features. And I'm like, when you start, and they have all symbols, so it doesn't, it's not a menu, it's symbols, and I'm scrolling up and down them and going, where the hell are the special features?
Yeah, that's the best part of Blu-rays.
That's the whole point of getting physical media.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a letdown.
I was annoyed.
Yeah,
this is one I particularly wanted to go to the special features for.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to ask you: Are you hooked enough by these reviews to want to watch that series?
Yeah, if I can find it. I haven't started looking yet, but yeah, apparently there's two TV series.
Oh, is there?
So there's actually two series done.
Oh, okay.
Not a season 1, season 2, but two actual separate TV series done on the franchise.
Okay. I gotta check those out.
Because what I'd like to do is actually the folks from the guy from
Tremors Saga.
After we get this all done, I'd actually like to invite him on and do a review of the entire thing.
Watch him bash my theories one by one.
He'll just outgeek us, and we'll be like, "Yeah, okay, we'll just turned up. We're just normies." In this world, I still think we're normies because it's like he has the lore and the
Yeah.
fan base, like the dedicated fan base to this franchise. I didn't realize existed,
Yeah.
and that's kind of humbling when you're sort of diving into something. You realize that there's people hardcore into this, and you're like, okay, and I can see why. And I can see why
Yeah.
people are still. It's like Firefly fans.
Which I'm a big fan of myself.
The
Yeah.
brown coats are called, aren't they?
The brown coats. Yep.
No, call
Yep.
themselves brown coats, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And that was only 13 episodes in a movie.
Yeah.
But because
One season
there's
in a movie. Yeah.
13 episodes. Yeah,
Was it
13
13?
episodes.
Okay.
Yeah, 13 episodes in a movie. I made the mistake of watching Serenity first.
Oh.
And I was confused.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And then then I went back and found it and they're like, this makes sense.
Yeah. Those were great. Yeah, a buddy of mine recently watched it for the first. I had never seen it before, and everyone kept telling me, "You got to watch it, got to watch it." We watched it about 2 years ago, and even now, or 2 years ago, it holds up. It was great. Yeah,
There's so few series like this, and I think this franchise has managed to do that as well. I think just by sticking to the storytelling and actually sticking to the positive aspect, the humanity aspect of this is what keeps us going.
yeah, and
With
it
no
must be.
anti-heroes, with no intrigue and politics, and
Yeah, it must be doing well. They don't give sales numbers for DVDs, but just
no, they don't.
by
That's
yeah. But just the fact that they keep making, series and more movies, like it has to be doing it at least reasonably well. And like you said, the fan base, may not be as big as some other franchises, but it's very fervent. And a lot of people like these, and I can see why. This is my first exposure to it. I know you saw these a long time ago, so it's almost
but not all of them.
okay.
Now to think about it, I've seen 1, 2, 3. I think I've seen 5. But it's so long ago, like I said, it's going back to the 1 and 2 I remember, clear as day.
Yeah.
The rest are fuzzy, but it's like go back for the first time, and that's good.
Yeah.
After because then you can evaluate. There's nothing worse than holding on to something for nostalgia, and then revisit it and going, "Oh my god, how did I ever like that?"
Yeah. I've had that experience. I think Transformers, the TV show, is the worst example of that. I
Dude,
loved it as a kid with my brother. Like, these are great. What a cool storyline.
what do you
And
think
now,
of the re-release of the comics?
oh, I wasn't aware of that.
So they've re-released. They've episode 2 out now, and they're doing the GI Joe crossover,
Okay.
which I've
I
always hinted
remember
at.
reading that for the first time. I think I actually have that comic somewhere.
Because it was the Transformers comics. I read Transformers, Masters Universe, and GI Joe. They were my comics growing up, and I wouldn't even be aware of the Marvel if it wasn't for Transformers. Because what they did with the second half of the comic was a Marvel story,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
obviously continued on one other things. But I never bothered because I had more than enough going on. But that's how I found how the birth of Venom and Dark Suit Spider-Man and a lot of Iron Man adventures, which is what I hate with the done with Iron Man, because we actually read him in the comics and each suit is purpose built
Right.
for the thing, and the engineering, and then destroyed all up with CGI. But the Transformers comic, I never actually watched the cartoon series.
Oh, to this day?
No, well, it did later on, but
Gosh, it
what it
is
was,
terrible.
the cartoon was on Saturday mornings, and I don't know if you have the same thing, but Saturday morning TV in the UK was shit. So you had these like kids shows. I don't know if they still do them or not, probably not, but Saturday morning was like kids show. So you had all this crap going on, and then they wouldn't even put the full cartoon, they put a bit of the cartoon. Then you had to put up these arsehole, how do you describe it? A kids' TV show where you have
Yeah.
presenters and kids in the audience and they talk shit and they do
Yeah.
stupid things. And even as a kid, I hated that.
Oh, they teach you like little lessons, like
Not even that. No, not even
don't
like
throw the
Sesame Street
toaster
type
into
stuff.
the
No,
bathtub.
not even like that. It was stupid games and
Oh, okay.
stuff. I don't know. I could never watch it. I suffered through maybe part of a Transformers episode, and then I'd switch off, and then I wouldn't even get up. I had no reason to get up this Saturday morning because that crap just annoyed me.
Yeah.
No, the happy clappy, hey,
That's
the kids cheering and stuff. And
yeah.
I hated kids when I was a kid.
That's awesome.
I hated being a kid.
That's awesome.
I embrace grumpy old man. It's bliss.
Well, you didn't miss much. As a kid,
No.
I loved the storyline. Me and my older brother used to watch it, and we thought this is
But
amazing.
the comics were brutal.
The comics are brutal too, but the cartoon, if you go back and watch it now, the dialogue is the worst thing you'll ever see. It's like
And they all line up and they all shoot each other and nobody hits anything.
no one hits anything, or even if they hit like something in the background, like a tiny little plane explodes, there would be no impact. The kids didn't know like who's there. They still make an even tinier parachute that comes down, and it's like, oh well, this is a war, but no one gets hurt. But the dialogue is like, I will defeat you. No, it is you who will be defeated. What? No one talks like that. So it's a good example of how nostalgia sometimes for nostalgia's sake is brutal. But this movie,
Yes, folks, we're on our first tangent. Deal with
it. But this movie was not like that. That's how I'll try to bring it back.
I could I could go on about the Transformers comics because humans get killed because they fought with fighter jets and like pilots would fall out of the airplane and then the heat-seeking missiles would wipe them out. And this one has been re-released. Starscream kills a pilot by going poof.
Oh wow! Yeah, that's...
like, he ejects and he's like, nah, poof, splat.
Yeah, that's not like the 80s.
I'm tempted. I'm so tempted. No, but the comics were like that. The comics were like that.
Yeah.
The comics were brutal and Transformers were killed left, right, and center. And not even it wasn't even like robot fault. I mean, the machine parts were blood and guts. And they did that in the comics.
I didn't get that far into the comics. I remember the first.
I collected up the issue 300 or something.
Oh, okay. So maybe
I was a wee bit of a beard.
Okay.
And Masters Universe comics were the same thing. I collected those, but I remember reading Masters Universe, He-Man comics, and Transformers, and I stopped He-Man comics after like 50 issues because it was so wishy-washy.
Yeah.
And then half the comic was in black and white paper, like newspaper. I'm like, what the hell? And even me as a kid was going, you've got your pocket money and you're like buying your stuff. You're like, well, I'm buying this and it's full color and it's great and I get the sense of danger stuff. This is wishy-washy crap, so they could put this aside, and that's when it started. G.I. Joe issue 1 came out, so I ditched Masters Universe and collected Transformers and G.I. Joe, and then that's where they're hinting. And G.I. Joe was the same thing, not like those shitty movies. Oh my god, they were awful. But people were getting killed, like Destro, or what do you I can't remember him, but the Shape Changer one and his gang. They would like rocket launcher into cars of civilians and stuff, and civilians would get wiped out.
Oh wow!
Like, they're no messing about the comics.
Yeah, the cartoons were way different.
No, never. I've never watched the G.I. Joe cartoon. Yeah, and Transformers. The first time I watched Transformers was the movie.
Okay.
And even hearing years later how people were traumatized, I'm like, but that's just like the comics.
Oh, okay. Because I was in third grade watching that movie, and there's like one scene in the first 5 minutes of the movie where like 7
Megatron crashes onto the starship and just wipes it. But that was happening in the comics all the time.
Yeah,
Transformers were getting killed.
Mommy, why did my toys just die?
Because they want you to buy the new ones.
Am I back? Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, you're back. Just had a wee wobble there. Megatron got you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Megatron got me, sorry. Yeah. Mommy, why did my toys die?
But back to this one. We're not avoiding this movie for once. We're just have you noticed when something invokes emotion though? And positive emotion, you start looking for other things that are similar to it.
Right.
More so than like if something's negative, you kind of close down and you just want it to be over with. But when something elicits positive emotion and you're having fun, you start going, where else have I had fun like this? And then you start looking other media, and then that's where you start drawing your picture of what you like.
Yeah, like the Back to the Future 3 connection.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I like the way they made this. One thing they've tried to do with this whole series is make it make sense and keep it connected. So the idea of there being a silver mine just outside rejection, we'll get that in a sec. But the fact that there was a silver mine and the silver mine was what funded the village and had people coming to it and why the town existed
Right.
was a good idea. Because why else build a town in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, it made sense. Now, what I think a good prequel actually enhances your enjoyment of the original movie. So sometimes a prequel will take a character from the original movie and they'll expand upon it, and then you watch the original movie with a better understanding of that character. What this movie did that enhanced the original movie for me was explain the town. Just like you
Mhm.
said, now we understand why there's a town in the middle of nowhere. It was set up for miners operating the silver mine. So now when I watch the original Tremors again, I'm not going to wonder, why is this town? Why are these people here? These people were here because they're the descendants of those original town members that
Mhm.
fought to keep this town. So it has more of a connection to me, and I think that's what a great prequel does: is it enhances the original movie.
Yeah.
So I love that aspect.
Because I think one thing they've done right with this whole series so far is perfection as a character.
Yeah,
And that's a lot of stories forget that the place where it's situated is as much a character as the flesh and blood ones walking around.
right, right.
And that's one thing they've done really well. Like when part three, when Burt goes back to perfection, you pick up the beat straight away. I think that's where part two feels a wee bit lost. Still a good movie, but because it moved away, coming back to perfection again and making it the focus, and the fact that it's moved on and prepared and still um, faces new threats was cool. You didn't feel cheated, but
Yeah.
this laying the groundwork for the actual town was brilliant. But I wonder where they got the idea of rejection from because I didn't. I was listening, trying to find out, but they never explained the name.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense why you would name your own town Rejection unless it's like unless you're just a tongue in cheek type of example, and you're like, well, we're not, Carson City. We're maybe they were doing it for that reason. I know the director wanted it so that he could change the name easily from Rejection to Perfection,
Yeah,
at
and
the end of the
so
movie.
just couldn't think of a reason to.
Yeah, I mean
It's like a Queen song, you know, a Queen makes songs and just put in words that rhyme because
Yeah, absolutely. It could have been that. um, but yeah, I think that was the reason, maybe, or maybe just like we're not we realize as miners that we're not, it's not a gold mine. This isn't California gold rush. So let's just call ourselves Rejection because we're the rejects of this area. Maybe something like that. I'm kind of stretching with that.
yeah, it's really yeah. I think just the reason for it. Yeah, and I just wanted to see it in paint.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, that works. At least it's honest. I can deal with honesty. Okay, we'll call it that because it's the best word I can
Yeah.
think of. Fair one.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's hard to make a reason for it, so we just went with it.
Maybe the miners are just faffing around. They're just having fun with it. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh dear, but yeah, that was only kind of bit had my head scratching, like, what the hell? And there wasn't, there was still a positive, a frontier vibe, can-do attitude. So it wasn't like it was a depressed town or anything.
Right. Right.
The only thing was, as we see in the mine, because of the first Graboid attack,
Hmm.
that's where people just went, "We're not hanging about here," and then that was the beginning of the death of the town.
Yeah.
And it was directly related to the Graboids. Some of those underground scenes were brilliant.
Yeah.
Like the
It
whole
looked really
stage
good.
set for the mines themselves and that, can't complain.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think we've talked about on prior reviews how there are certain settings that just work really well for horror movies. And I think we said like the cabin in the woods because you're away from civilization,
Mm-hmm.
a boat on the water because you're surrounded by, seas, so you have no access. You're trapped on the boat. I think a mine is a perfect location for a horror movie because that same thing where you have no access to the surface. You could be buried at any moment. It's dark. I just feel like, I don't know, have there been a lot of horror movies set
Oh yeah,
inside a mine?
definitely.
Oh, there have.
One of the most famous ones is called The Descent. It's not a
Oh,
mine, but it's a
okay.
cave system.
So I haven't come up with a revolutionary new idea.
Well, dude, if it's horror, it's been done at least 20 times. Horror's a bit like porn. That's why the two are
Okay.
so. That's why the two. If you can think about it, somebody's already put it in a video.
That's fair.
That's just. It's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
I was watching what was it? It was by IGN. Funny enough, of all the most milk toast, safe studio things, media outlets, and they're talking about why horror never left, and given all, horror's been around for over 100 years, and it's always been the backbone of cinema and the forefront in terms of creativity.
Right.
Steve and I went into it when we did American Werewolf from London. Like, special effects would not happen in mainstream movies if horror hadn't done first.
Right.
Any sort of special effect has always been done and done better in a horror movie. It's just the genre generates that sort of creativity, and I think the low budgets as well. And this article talked about it. You learn to penny pinch if you're a creator in horror because you'll not get the $200 million spectacular, and plus it would look cheap and actually go against the movie because it's the ground level, the realism, the stuff thrown together. That's what makes it what it
Yeah.
is.
Right.
Dale now doing the Peter Jackson series. You see what he did with like a handful of coins in his shed.
Yeah.
Some of the special effects and the detail he's went into. That's just the nature of the genre.
Yeah. In a way, I think it forces the director to be more critical and more attention to detail because you can't just fix it in post. You
Oh no,
have
you
to.
don't.
Yeah, you have to get it right, and I feel like sometimes that leads to a better product, like a smaller budget. Sometimes you end up with more attention to detail with stuff like that.
But look at the movies today. The budgets are spiraling out of control, and there's more and more people involved and more fluff. And it's just people grifting and keeping jobs for the sake of jobs with titles that have nothing to do with the actual product, and no
Yeah,
focus on actually making a good product.
yeah,
And that's why people are switching off. That's why cinema's done. That it's not even they're blaming streaming, they're blaming this, they're blaming that, but it's not. It's just bad product because they don't have that creativity. But look at the
right.
movies that have done well at the cinema over the last 5 years. Horror movies.
Yeah,
Basically over the last 5 years, movies have just been bombing. But the ones that are keeping going, even the not so great ones, but still they're making money back, are horror movies because that ethos is still there.
right, right.
And you can't make a good horror movie without that mindset.
Yeah,
There's seen lazy ones, and the worst ones are the people that go in, I'm just making a horror movie till I go on to greater and better things. That attitude comes out straight away. Look at that idiot, David Gordon Green. His
yeah.
attitude of, oh, I'm just doing this to make my way up the Hollywood, grease my way up the Hollywood pole, and his movies are terrible.
I'm not familiar with it. What
He
movies
did
did he?
Halloween Kills. He's done that
Oh, okay.
latest Exorcist one, Believer, which is
Oh,
bombed.
okay. Mhm.
He did another one, but he's done nothing good.
Gotcha,
And it's
gotcha.
just so obvious. The
Yeah,
pretentiousness. Oh, I'm just doing this. I'm just, thumbing my nose down at the horror genre. I'm just doing this till I'm ready for better things. You see indie directors as well do it. That's a mistake they make is, oh, I'll just make a horror movie and it'll get me noticed till I do my real job. And their movies are terrible and they come across as insincere.
mm.
You can't make a horror movie with that attitude.
Yeah, interesting.
And these guys, you know, because there has to be, you can tell there's a control. I know there's different directors and that, but there's definitely a love for this franchise, and you can see that overarching protectiveness of it, of keep this the same way, you know, keep those themes, and we can explore new ideas, but you have to recognize it as a Tremors movie, and you have to have that sense of like the mine scene that we're talking about that starts this whole off, not just the fact that the characters weren't disposable.
Right.
The miners getting taken out by the hatchlings. They then had a dock on the fact that everyone's like, we're buggering off out of here. And then the town suffered because of it, because that was the lifeblood of the town. And there's a whole knock-on effect, which actually stories today can't tell.
Yeah.
That's so funny that this straight to DVD movie can tell a better story in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And these people with like big name directors and multi-$100 million budgets can't do it at all. And you're like,
yeah,
what's going wrong?
You're right. But so speaking of the mind, so I don't know if this got you thinking, but I started thinking, why would the father who had Hiram Gummer's father, who was very wealthy, and in fact, Hiram Gummer even says at one point when he's asked, I bet you have one of everything. He's like, I had enough to buy two of everything. So he's made it clear that from birth, he's been extremely wealthy. So why would his father choose to sell all of his, his holdings, all of his money, stocks, everything, to buy the silver mine on the other side of the country? And that got me thinking of my latest Chris's theory.
It's Chris's theory time. It's a theory. It's a Chris. It's a theory. Chrissy Chris. Chrissy Chris.
Chris's crazy theory.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that. That was fantastic.
Land orders.
Oh man! All right. So, why?
There's going to be a compilation at some point, like after a year or so. There's going to be like a full 20-minute compilation of all these.
At least greatest hits. So, why would the dad do all this, and why would he buy a silver mine as opposed to a gold mine, which was much more successful? The gold rush in California was not that many years before this took place. So Hiram Gummer says that his dad was in the late stages of his dementia and decided to do that and give the reason, but no reason why a silver mine on the other side of the country. And by the way, a silver mine wouldn't cost his entire net worth because they were obviously very wealthy. Mm-hmm. So the dad overpaid for a silver mine and left his son nothing. So I started thinking about this, and this is my theory. He was not crazy. Perhaps he was visited by a vision or some sort of, he spoke to some seer or someone who told him about this particular silver mine and the beasts from the underworld that are blind to all but killing. That's how they're referenced by the Changs in the movie. So there was a legend about this silver mine. So somehow the father heard about this, either through a vision or through, speaking to someone who could tell the future, and said, this silver mine has this. And someone who's very wealthy, who sees his son, who could do nothing. If you notice throughout the movie, Hiram Gummer can do absolutely nothing, has no skills, hasn't earned a cent. He's been given everything from birth. Mm-hmm. So the father is looking at it and is a dying man and saying, geez, I haven't prepared my son for life. He's wasted his life. He's never going to amount to anything. He needs to find some way to become a man, to earn his own wealth. So I want him to overcome this challenge. So I'm going to buy this particular mine, and I'm going to make sure that this is the only thing that he has to do. He has to take care of this problem. He has no other, means of money besides that. And if you look, the father has gold. He's got a gold watch. He's got a gold coin.
Mhm.
Those were the fathers. So he knows about gold. He loves gold, but he buys a silver mine, a particular silver mine. So I think he wanted his son to overcome this obstacle. So then you say, well, Chris, this is a little far-fetched. This movie has no superstition in it. This is could be a scientifically based movie. This is a little far-fetched to bring in this idea of his vision, the father's
Yeah, but
vision.
the Chang family do bring it in.
Exactly. They give us a clue with the Chang family. She throws the sticks to tell the future. So the movie has this superstitious element in it. And I think the father had access to that same information. He could foretell the future, and he did this for his son on purpose to give him a better life. And you see this with wealthy people all the time. Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest men in the world, said he's not going to give his kids much because he wants them to earn it themselves. So I think this all played into the father's theory, and that is why he leaves the silver mine to him.
Fantastic. And that, my friends, was Chris's crazy theory. It's a theory. It's a Chris. It's a theory. Chrissy Chris. Chrissy Chris. Chris's crazy theory.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
Let's look forward to more of those in the future. That's a good one because, I was going to say the introduction to Hiram, fair play to Michael Gross. Like, he plays a completely different character.
Oh, he was great.
So much fun.
Yeah.
I was worried, like I said, it was going to be Gunslinger Gummer. He's just going to be a 19th century version of the modern one. So having him come as a complete dandy and pampered poodle, and even the accent he puts on is just golden.
It was awesome. He had so many funny moments in this. I love when he takes the gingerbread cake. He tells the kid to go fetch something for him, and then he just eats the cake. And the way he did it, like no other actor could have pulled off that haughtiness. It was just great.
But it's good to it says something because me and actors, I'm not a massive fan. I know they're necessary, and I can't wait for AI to replace them all because they're annoying. But it says a lot for an actor when they're not afraid to depreciate themselves.
Yeah.
And change it up, and because he's effectively taking over this franchise.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
No, even from part 2, he was. The franchise was handed over to him.
Yeah.
And he's really, and I wouldn't be surprised. I should look, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has executive producer, input into this, and he's maybe bought into it.
Interesting. Yeah.
But interesting to see is time with all these next movies and the TV show and stuff. But from the first one, he definitely, he was definitely a presence there, and he definitely took over from the second one, and he's really done this, taking the role seriously. And the fact that he didn't just play the same character, and the character was a story, so refreshing. Like I said, people can't do it today. People can't tell stories and can't characterize. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, he had so many great moments, like when he took out the tiny gun. I mean, that was hilarious. He said, what? They said, take a gun that fits you.
That felt comfortable.
That felt comfortable. Yeah.
But that was the he embraces the character, and I would actually say Hiram. He's put more into the Hiram character than he has the Burt.
But I think what makes him so likable for me, I don't know if you agree with this, but there's these little moments that show that he's a good person. And I know Hiram is a different character than Burt Gummer, but it's his grandfather, so it's clear that it's still the same relation. These little tiny moments, like in the last movie, in the middle of like a tense battle scene, he hands out sweaters to two of the characters. I think I mentioned it on the review. He's like, "You look cold." You know, like here's this guy who's like a survivalist, you know,
Yep.
military based, and all of a sudden you see these little moments of how he cares about the other people. And in this movie where he wanted the boy to ride the bike, you know, these little
And
tiny
got upset because he was going down the well.
exactly. Yeah.
He's like, he shouldn't be working. He should be riding that bike.
Exactly.
That little bit of characterization. Yep.
Yeah, I love those little moments they put into it because for me it makes him so endearing that I just want him to succeed. Yeah.
That's the whole point of this series. It's shown positivity. And I think it's something. I think why we're enjoying this as well, because lately we're just starved of it. Everything is so dark. Everyone's an anti-hero. Everyone's so combative with everybody. There's no genuine humanity in movies anymore.
Right.
And it's depressing as fuck.
Yeah. This movie has heart. This whole series has had heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps it going, because monsters are dime a dozen. You know what I mean? You can have monster movies. The cow comes home. You can have stuff bursting out of the ground. You know what I mean? There's hundreds of movies like that as well. Stuff, you know what I mean? All the stuff's done. So what makes this unique is it's a community of perfection.
Right.
And the fact that they're all out, they're not doing like a Game of Thrones type, you know, I get to sit on top of the hill. They all know they've got their place to try and survive, and they need each other. And the first movie set it up. No, I mean, we saw Val and Earl, and the fact that the community, they talked about leaving, but they didn't really, because they were sorted, if that makes sense. And what they did, they were a vital part of the community.
Yeah, they did
It was
everything.
like a rotational, you know what I mean? They had jobs that did certain times a year. They were the guys that did it, and they weren't looked down upon. And that's how it worked. Walter ran the store. The Changs have ran the store. That's what the Changs do.
Yeah, yeah.
They go and they source and they supply, keep the things, you know what I mean? Everyone has the part. And then when we see part 3 with all the stuff Burt set up in the town, where he could have sat on the top of his hill. And that's where we thought maybe Hiram was getting that bit of an impression that he would be the type that would sit up on the top of the hill. I'm okay.
Right.
And let everybody else. But then we're seeing throughout it that no, he's not.
Right. He comes back to the town when he hears they're in trouble.
Even at the end, it's a proper quandary he has, you know, about leaving stuff. And it wasn't like, I'm okay. I'm getting out of here. It's like, come with me, you know.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
he felt overwhelmed and defeated. It wasn't, even the haughtiness was only just because of his upbringing.
Yeah.
And that's hard. Well, actually, it's not hard because it's done. It used to be done in movies all the time. But these bunch of idiots that run things now can tell stories, save her life.
Yeah. Or they try too hard to make the characters have this complicated,
deconstructed for the modern audience.
Yeah, anti-hero vibe. A friend of mine went to go see the Joker, the one a couple years ago with
the Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix. Excellent movie. I mean, he played it beautifully. But my friend went to see it in the theater, and he said that as much as he enjoyed the movie, the most disturbing part for him was that at the end of the movie, when he fully realizes his Joker self and starts shooting people randomly, the audience in the movie theater is cheering for him, and he's shooting police officers and like random people. And my friend is like, you could like the character, you could like, the story,
like with like villains in the past, but they're still villains.
But like, if you really think about it, he's just shooting these police officers and random people. Like, what are you doing? But I feel like a lot of modern audiences love the anti-hero. And like, what's wrong with just a hero?
I don't think it's so much like people are, sheep. Like, it's frightening how empty a lot of people's heads are, and they just, whatever the box tells them on the screen. Like and subscribe, folks, by the way. The buttons are down there. Get on
it. Worth a shot. Yeah.
Look into my eyes. But yeah, that's a problem. It's, there's so many people just, whatever the shiny voice tells them to do, they do. And they don't think. So they're being told now this is a hero. and they haven't, and especially younger ones, because they haven't grown up. I'm beginning to think our generation is so lucky because we have grown up pre-internet, post-internet. We've had the experience of both. Generation before us, the boomers, were like, misery and I don't know, they're too tough on us, too stoic, too tough. We had it sort of bit. We're the ones that start opening ourselves up a bit, and then afters know nothing else. And it's a weird time to be,
Yeah. Plus, I think our generation heard stories from the generation before us. So some of that wisdom did seep in. Probably not enough of it, but we do have access to, stories from people who went to, Vietnam and different, in the States and other, things in the 60s and 70s. So I think our generation do at least have some access to that wisdom, but we've also seen how crappy it's gotten since. So we do.
We've watched things go in an upward trajectory to the 90s.
Yeah.
And then supposedly the new millennium, the golden millennium, everything's just went to rat shit. And I think the annoying thing is there's no reason for it. There's no actual reason apart from people being idiots.
Maybe, yeah.
But that's, what I mean? That's the problem. They're cheering you out of here because they don't know anything else. They haven't grown. And it's old. It's more than 10 years old. Old people. This weird thing where, I know when I grew up, like you were 18, you still went to the pub and there was somebody in their 50s, 60s, 40s, went to the local pub in the afternoon, you mixed.
Yeah.
People talk to each other, but now it's a strange, like I have no interest in talk to young people. Like 20s, early 30s, I have no interest in talking to them. And that's just a reaction to their reaction, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want to waste my time.
It's fair.
Now, not say an individual, case by case basis, but in general,
yeah.
have no interest.
Yeah.
As like I said, we've seen story. There's no buzz anymore. Like they're trying to generate buzz. A lot of it's fake. A lot of it's online, and that's where the whole culture war politics, because that's the only way people can generate buzz now is by being part of a gang. And I'm going to watch this to show you other ones what it's all about. And it's on both sides. And it's like, if that's the only reason you've got to either support or not watch a movie, you're missing the whole point.
Right.
And it's tragic.
Yeah. But that's what's so refreshing about these movies. It has that heart without any of that modern sensibilities in it. Yeah.
Just a group of people that sort of tell their backstories, why they come in.
Yeah.
They know what they're good at, so that they're using their skills, and then they're faced with the adversary, which is the Graboids. And it was just purely that they used the hot spring. Somebody had the ingenuity to use the hot spring to actually start creating the fissures in the rock in the mine. Cool, recycle, use, rather than exploding, using explosives, use nature.
Right.
What they didn't realize, they were going to hatch some eggs. Well, not something you put into your plans. Like, I don't think any engineers okay, if I do this, will it hatch sand dragons? Actually, like that's actually been the best sort of name for the Graboids.
Was it dirt dragons?
Was it not sand dragons or dirt dragons?
I thought they said dirt dragon. Dirt dragons.
Might have been dirt dragons. Sorry, I should have put that down actually. Still a fun, still a fun name rather than.
Yeah.
I think after Ass Blasters, I was kind of like, don't do that again. You went too far. You tipped too far. Come back.
Yeah.
Come back to us.
There was nowhere to go but up after Ass Blasters.
Yeah.
So I was curious about the little creatures in the beginning because they were, they were like flying pretty fast, and that was actually pretty terrifying. I think of all the versions of the Graboids that we've seen, all the offshoots, those little ones that like flew quickly and just decapitated you right away. I thought those were the most, terrifying. And I looked it up. They're called shooters on the Tremors wiki site. Shooters, but I think they're just the baby version of the Graboids. if they
Yeah, it's just the
naturally,
newly hatched ones. So it's the
yeah.
ass blasters lay the eggs after they migrate, and then it's the eggs hatch into the baby graboid. But
It sounds funny to say it like that.
I just
Yeah, but my theories are that this is their natural development cycle
mhm.
before they mutated, and they mutated in 2 to the Shriekers and in 3 to the Ass Blasters. But this to me is their normal pattern. I don't think the Ass Blasters were part of their normal evolutionary pattern as we would have, seen them. I think they were always under the ground. They were always just the Graboids, and they were born this way as these little shooters.
That's right, because that was that's the food and the
Yeah,
changing. Yep.
that's what I think. But like these eggs were hatched outside of the bodies, because the body, was destroyed in the Shriekers
hmm
with the Shriekers in the second episode. So I feel like that was not normal. That was a mutation, and they were growing too quickly, and that's why the mother's body exploded. But normally worms lay eggs and move on. So I think that's the normal cycle. So these are what the Graboids are as babies, and they're
hmm
way more terrifying this way. When they get
Well,
bigger, they get slower.
yeah, but that makes sense. If you look at venomous snakes, look at baby cobras or baby rattlesnakes, they're much more dangerous than the adults. Their venom's more potent because they know their potential prey items.
Hmm.
So they're more flighty.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
Yeah, I
actually,
didn't
a
know that.
bite from a baby, a juvenile rattlesnake's more dangerous, has more venom. Also, they don't know how to regulate their venom glands, where an adult does because it needs its venom for prey because it helps digest the prey. So it actually doesn't inject as much for a defensive strike, for example. But a baby doesn't know that, so it'll give you the full whack.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So yeah, baby venomous snakes. So I think they're similar to I think they've been based off reptiles.
Okay.
From I've seen it, it's not a bad thing to base something off. Use something. I mean, ground in reality. That's all I say. If you're going to do the fantastic, ground it in reality, and then you've something to reference to,
You're right.
and then you
Right.
just ramp it up to 11. And that's where
Yeah.
we get monsters. That's the best monsters.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a logic here. Plus, it's all underground. Before, everything's been from below ground to above. But the mines dug into their territory where they go about the place with relative ease. So yeah,
Right.
naturally you're going to be in trouble because you're below the hard clay surface.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I like that the movie gave a plausible reason why this story didn't come out, because the town didn't want it to come
Mm-hmm.
out. They didn't want it to affect the value of the mine or the potential of people moving there.
Yeah,
So
survival. Just
yeah, let's not talk about it. So that
mm-hmm.
made sense. That was one of the issues with the prequel. I was like, well, wouldn't someone have found a
That's
body
what I was.
here? Or yeah. So I thought they handled that well. That's good
Why
storytelling.
didn't Burt know about it? He would have had a journal with like all the previous knowledge. Why is he
Yeah.
acting surprised? Now we know, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I'm always worried about prequels, because unless you're thinking ahead, and that's what I love about this franchise. Actually, is there's an effort not to overwrite the previous movies or destroy the potential of future movies.
Right.
So there's actually joined up thinking where I'll use a Hellraiser. That was they were turned out movies because Clive Barker wanted to get his rights back after the third one, I think, or the second. Yeah, I think it was after the third one. He wanted to get the rights back, so um, the studio just kept pumping out movies because they had to do it within a certain time to keep the rights, and it was just a disjointed mess
Right.
because they were just shipping these movies out. They were taking other scripts, because that's the one thing they do in Hollywood is somebody might write a script, and what they'll do is they'll take that story and they'll go, okay, let's tweak it to fit into this franchise. Jar Jar Abrams is notorious for it.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
Cloverfield series. Just grab scripts, and they'll screw over the writer and only pay them a bit, and then they'll shove it into a franchise. And that's why you see all these other movies just make no sense. And then the franchise ends up just getting beat to death and destroyed. did it with Hellraiser, which is a shame because thematically and with the visuals and everything else and the original storyline, that should have been like top tier horror franchise of all time and like really thought provoking, but they run into the ground.
Oh, okay.
They haven't done it here. They've actually had a bit of joined up thinking, going, right, what's came before? Let's preserve that, because if somebody watches this movie, you don't need to watch the other ones. Would you agree?
Yeah, this would stand alone. I mean, it's more enjoyable with the other ones, but it could definitely hold its own.
But even think about it. You can watch. Tell me if I'm wrong, but so far what we've seen, even the sequels, you can watch them as an individual story without needing to know anything.
Yeah, I think the plot isn't convoluted enough that you need that information, and they always in the beginning set up like a little bit of what happened before. They set up the stage of where the danger is, and yeah, I think that's fair.
So you can watch anyone. You can jump in basically anywhere, and we'll obviously confirm or deny that as we get the next 3 movies done. But
yeah,
you can watch these as an individual, and then there's enough there to make you go, okay, what came before, and then go back or forward.
Right.
And even this, you can watch it as the 4th in the series. You can watch it as the 1st in the series. This could be watched at any time, and it doesn't ruin any of the other movies.
Yeah, and I think also the issue with many prequels is that the danger is gone because you know the characters have to survive because you've seen them in the original movie, which took place after. By setting this movie 100 years before, any of these characters could potentially have died. Even Hiram Gummer potentially could have died, and then it'd be revealed that there's a woman that's pregnant. You know, so anyone really could have died, maybe with the exception of the boy Chang. I think it was Pyong Chang. I apologize if I get that wrong, but yeah, like he had to survive because you know that he's the father of the Chang that eventually owns the store. But anyone else in the Walter, anyone else could have been potentially killed. So by setting it so far back that these are different characters, these are the ancestors, I think that was smart because now the danger is still there. Any of them could have been killed. You know?
I think we'll have to talk about Black Hand Kelly.
He was great.
That was the West. You had to have a Gummer type character, and here's the master. Okay, let's and you can also tell as well how insulated Hiram is. It's like, yeah, I just in the city, I just say my name and I get whatever I want.
Yeah.
And then he's found the whole cold hard facts that he has to actually have something of value to survive in the frontier.
Yeah. He was so great as the antithesis of Gummer.
Burt, yeah.
But he brought a lot of comedic elements, like when they throw the apple to him, he just catches it and eats it, and everyone's like,
yeah,
oh.
It was all the setup. Yeah, he arrives in, so they hire the gunslinger because they think a gunslinger is going to sort it out. And then we meet Black Hand Kelly, who is Burt Gummer in the West. You know, this is what we're expecting Hiram to be, but this is everything. And yeah, he comes in, he's all roughy toughy and said it, and then they want the demonstration. The whole thing with the apple.
That was great.
It was, and that's when you knew as well. Because if they hadn't made him too rough, he would have it'd have been like stuck out like a sore thumb with the franchise. Right. So you needed that comedic element to bring him in.
Yeah. But the comedic aspect kind of hid the element of this is just basic good storytelling of the classic trope of the mentor who needs to teach an older individual who needs to teach the protagonist some valuable advice or wisdom, and then needs to move aside so that the protagonist could achieve.
Oh, you mean goals. The hero's journey?
The hero's journey, exactly.
The story from like the dawn of time.
That
works in any setting.
I thought Star Wars invented it with Obi-Wan. I'm just kidding.
No, it was never happened until I was gonna say Brie Larson, but I was like, nah, that's the other annoying one. What do you call her?
Oh, Jennifer
Hunger Games.
Lawrence.
Yeah, nothing happened before her, but
That's
she
right.
didn't need no damn mentor because she was a strong, independent woman.
She's her own mentor.
Yeah, she mentored herself. And what do you call her? Daisy Ridley mentored her mentor because she was awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Oh gosh.
But that's what I mean. And
Yeah,
why, when something's not broken, and if it wasn't interchangeable, there'd be only one story told. You know what I mean? There'd only be one movie. If this wasn't able to be used as a template, then there would only be the one movie, and that's it. Nobody would be able to
right.
think past it. But it's only a template. It's your
Yeah,
imagination, which is what you do with it afterwards.
exactly. And he was only in a small section relatively of the movie, so it didn't overtake
Yeah, because it's Hiram's
Hiram
story.
Gummer's
Yeah.
story. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I thought it was used perfectly. I thought he was there just enough time to help him train him with the guns and teach him. In fact, he uses a line that was great, where he says, "You can't see the door if you're facing this direction. Always be prepared." So that's
Mm-hmm.
nice because that pays off. That exact same line is used, by Burt Gummer. So that his father taught that to him. So that was like a
Mm-hmm.
nice little homage, as to the origins of that mindset.
Yeah, because you can tell that Hiram then being through this experience, but he didn't have a hard edge to him even at the end. So he taught
Right.
these lessons. Just Bert, because of the Cold War, took it to 11 again
Yeah. Yeah.
and went way into that territory, which is what makes his character brilliant. But yeah, Blackhand Kelly, you see him and he's all roughy toughy, but when it gets down to the job and then they encounter the unknown, he also is like looking after the folks where he didn't have to. He could
Yeah.
have just cut and run. He had his money, but then once again, it's this positivity, this community, this just want to look after people is what makes this franchise. Is what makes you latch onto the franchise.
Right. Right. You're right.
Who would have thought having likable characters you could relate to was a good thing in a movie?
Seriously.
What a bad idea.
What a concept. Yeah.
Because um even the Graboids aren't the villains.
Yeah, it's just nature.
It's just an apex predator, so they're not even evil. It's just they are what they are.
Yeah. And we came into their territory too.
Mm-hmm. And just
So
happen to be tasty as well, which sucks to be us.
yeah. Yeah.
It's like we blame cows for being made of beef. It's not the cow's fault it was made of beef. Just happens.
Exactly.
we just happen to be made of pork. So be it.
Yeah.
Graboids happen to like it.
Some of us have more pork than others, but
I don't know. I'm building up my chins. Sitting about for the last few weeks, I've built up my chins again. I thought I was starting to get rid of some.
I'm with you.
Yeah. But we'll see Blackhand Kelly. Juan, he was Miguel's ancestor, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, because everyone has a direct link. It's not I like the
Right.
whole thing with Juan and the hat.
Yeah.
even keeps looking at the ones like, no, you get a credit. No credit, no credit. So we know that Walter got his hard assness from his grandmother, not his grandfather.
That's right. And it was also the tie-in to the girl from the third one, the niece. I think it was Walter's niece.
Yeah.
Who was also very tight with the books and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a nice connection there too. But yeah, I love the fact that these are the original town members are all ancestors of these people that fought so hard to defend it. So that's why they've all stayed and have such a strong connection. It's more than just townsfolk or neighbors. It's almost like a family.
Yeah, and that's the vibe of the first one. That's what
Yeah.
set the first one apart as a movie.
Right.
Is it spent all that time building the vibe of the community and not just going straight for the jump scare or the first kill, which is a trope that's so boring with horror movies. You know, they just you frozen? Right. I think we broke Chris. the conversation got to you. Oh, he's back, right. Yeah, one of the tropes that's overused a lot is the first kill. Oh, something bad's gonna happen, but they sort of do it in this one, but it's not over the top. Part 2 was the worst for using the over top first kill.
Right.
But I think by the third one, they twigged on they don't need that. This is a different franchise.
Yeah, for sure.
And they even spent a bit of time in rejection, you know, setting up the town and the fact that it was a silver mine and the fact that's a lifeblood, and then we get the reason before the first Graboid kill, you get the idea this is the reason why the town exists, and that was cool.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
it's using another movie.
Yeah, I think it's going to enhance my enjoyment of the first movie on future viewings, which is the best thing you could say from a prequel, and they succeeded.
Yeah, and that's who would have thought prequels could be done right?
Yeah, yeah.
Such a mad idea.
I tell you, 5 has a lot to live up to. This was fun.
Yeah. And then we start to see the transformation of Hiram when he leaves. he has to change of heart. He's like, "No, I can't leave." Because they hear the telegram, don't they? It's the telegram that makes him just before he boards the train. It's a telegram that makes things, you know, oh, I can't leave these people. So he still has his $20 coin.
Oh, I think the watch. I think he sold the watch.
It was the watch he gave to Black Hand Kelly, wasn't it?
I thought it was the opposite. I think it was the coin and.
Oh, sorry, it was the watch. My apologies.
That's okay. The coin and the cufflinks he gave to
the Black Hand Kelly.
Yeah, and then the watch was somehow enough to pay for all those weapons. It must have been a really, really good watch.
Yeah, well, that's back to inflation, but still, he arrives back with the wagon, and then when he starts rhyming off the weapons of the day, this apparently, and he's still doing it. Because here's where he could have made the mistake and fell into Burt territory. Do you know, and there's a couple of like nods about, but this is the point where he could have went full Burt, but he didn't. He still remained Hiram, and that is clever. To rein it in enough, but give you enough hint of the future. Because he's like, I bought this. This is a blah, blah, blah. Apparently, and he's reading off the list, you know, still completely inept. He's not like, I'm a gunslinger now.
So I looked up that gun because that gun seems
the punt gun, yeah.
The giant what's they called it?
The punt gun.
The bore shotgun.
Yeah.
The giant one, the long one that he shoots the creature.
Operated off the back of the wagon.
Yeah. So I looked it up because I thought this had to be made up. But actually, fun fact, I looked it up. As silly as it looks, the 2-inch bore giant shotgun was a real thing. It was used to shoot entire flocks of ducks at once.
He mentioned that.
And they said that. I thought that was a joke, but that was actually a true thing. You would mount the gun on a flat-bottomed boat called a punt, aim at the side of the lake where a flock was feeding, and fire. So this was an actual real gun that they used. And I love that he missed with it. And then one of the characters was like, "You missed with a cannon."
Because he loaded it like a cannon, you know, powder, the ball shot, the ram.
I love that.
Sorry, I grew up watching a series called Sharp, which was about the Napoleonic Wars. So it was all spit, powder, ball, wad, flint. Can almost do those drills. That was a great series. But yeah, that's what I mean. He could have at that moment transformed into Burt. Right. But he didn't. He remained that character. But we got hints, and that was so wonderful about it because that's clever writing.
Yeah.
And that's good characterization, and that's good acting.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. And it added a fun comedic element just because of how long it took him to reload and stuff like that. You know what I thought when I first saw the rope and they were starting to like set up like a trap? I was thinking this was going to be like a Home Alone the situation where they have all these like traps and swinging paint and stuff like that, which could have been funny.
Like they didn't have bowls to put the beans into. It's like, I mean, this was a. I was like, oh, brilliant.
That actually
Because
could
can't
have
have
been
waste.
That's a wasted opportunity. Nah, but
Yeah.
the scene was great. I loved it, that the town coming together, and how he even tells the boy Pyong
Young,
Chang,
yeah.
he tells him, you have to man the store. You
Mhm.
have to be inside just to get him out of danger. Just like another like fun little beat that just shows that the humanity of his character was great too. But that final scene was awesome. They did a great job with that.
Yeah, and it wasn't over the top. And I
Yeah.
think we mentioned like there is some ropey CGI in this, but it's kept to
Yeah.
a minimum.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they did CGI for the burrowing underground scene when
Oh my
they've been
gosh.
able to do it practically.
I have that in my exact notes. I said the same thing. I said that was the only part that annoyed me out of the whole movie as far as the CGI, because to me, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I really feel like that has to be an easy practical
And they've
effect.
done it for the other three movies.
Yeah, you just get like a ball or a can, you bury it underground, tie it with a rope, and drag it, and you get the same
A rug,
effect.
yeah, a rug
A rug.
with
Yeah,
the stuff. They've done it for the three movies. They've used practical effects for the burrowing
yeah.
because that parts of realism. So why did you use CGI for this? But
That was terrible. The only thing I could think of is like a time element. Like the movie was
maybe.
was cut and they started editing it and they were like, "Oh, we forgot to do something for this," and they just didn't have time. I don't. That
So
was the only part that annoyed me from a CGI. The rest of it I thought was good.
yeah, I'm with you now because I was just like that going, no, you done that. You've done it right before. Why are you doing it here? Because
Yeah.
even the CGI Graboid wasn't horrible, and thankfully used darkness as well, so it wasn't like right in your face. It wasn't as bad as L L Whitey. What was Whitey? What's Whitey?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Whitey, I think, right? Oh, El. Oh my
I can't
gosh.
remember what the Spanish is for white.
The El Blanco.
El Blanco. Yeah, sorry.
I was gonna say the Tremors saga guys are yelling at us at the
Yeah.
screen right now.
Ah, you idiots! Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, El Blanco. It was
El
not as bad
Blanco.
as that. Thank God. Yeah.
Yeah. Even going back to the practical effect, it looked different like that, but the Black Hand Kelly, it did look different. Like it was different shape and size, the way it rendered the land on the ground. But because the movie's had so much attention to detail and was so authentic, I forgave it.
Right. Exactly.
But that
Yeah.
bit with the I'm not couldn't. That's the only bit that took me out of it. I was like, no. But
I was with you. Same exact feeling. Yeah. Yeah.
all that, a great entry. I'm glad I liked the prequel for once.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
genuinely worried about watching this, and is this where it falls off the wheels fall off the wagon, so to speak? But
You know it has to come at some point, right?
oh yeah, I'm waiting for it.
Is it 5? Is it 6? Is
But
it
how the
7?
hell have we managed four? How the hell have we managed four movies into a series, and we're still like having fun?
I thought it would be bad by now, and I'm really enjoying it. So much so that I'm gonna try to watch that series. Because that took place by this, 2003, the 1st
Mm-hmm.
show, 13 episodes. I know Michael Gross appears in at least a couple of episodes.
Yeah, and Kevin Bacon's in one of them.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
No, one of the series is. I think he's actually in one of the series. There's two series as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
And that's thanks to Tremors saga.
Okay.
Remember he was telling us in the chat.
Oh yeah. So I'm
So
gonna try to watch at least one of them. I'll probably watch the first one because it's in the same time frame,
mhm.
2003, and this movie was 2004. If the other one takes place later, I'll try to watch it after.
Yeah, I need to find it because I do want to. I want us to talk about it
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
do the movies, try and find the series, because it's going to be a bit of a break.
Oh, okay. Well,
Or
maybe.
no, actually, no. We could start obviously and just build up the notes towards the end. We'll
You
have a
want to do?
talk offline. When we get that,
Okay.
we'll make a plan so that there's not, because what I'm worried about, obviously, we'll get the seventh movie and then there'll be a huge gap as we try to watch an entire TV series because that takes a while.
Yeah.
We could be interspersing these. We'll make a plan how we're going to do it, but I definitely want to find them.
Yeah.
I definitely want to watch them and talk about them.
Yeah, I'm hooked. This series has me hooked.
I'm having so much fun with this.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But there you go, folks. Yeah, that's it. Fun. It's a prequel. It's actually a prequel I had fun with. Imagine that. And it's also the 4th movie in a franchise we're still having fun with. Like that. That's saying something after 20 years, nearly 20 years, 19 years at this point, 2004. Yeah, 19 grown, 20 years later, we're still having fun with this franchise. Bloody fantastic. So hope you guys enjoyed this as well. Make sure you check out the series. Links are in the description, all that good stuff. Chris and I will be back without a doubt.
More crazy
for
theories.
the next one. And more crazy theories, yep. You have to, because I went and put that video together, so you have to do them now. All right, folks. Chris, as always, mate, thanks for turning up. Great for having you here. Looking forward to more. Thanks everybody for watching. And just leaves me to say, keep up to date with the channel, do the typey clicky things, and until next time, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.